Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we will be taking a quick look at dividend investing, and I will also be sharing with you the primary reason why I'm not a big fan of dividend investing in the conventional sense. Now, this is not to say that I don't like dividend investing and I don't endorse it, but at the same time, dividend investing in the conventional sense has a lot of drawbacks, and therefore, my way of dividend investing is a supercharged or modified way of dividend investing, which basically improves the returns and takes care of the drawbacks. So let's get started. Before we move further, a quick look at the disclaimer, which basically says that whatever information I'm sharing with you is for only entertainment purposes, and this is not any kind of trading or investment recommendation. So, first of all, for those who are just getting started with dividend investing, a quick note on what dividend investing is all about. For those of you who are familiar with dividend investing, just hold on for a couple of minutes and we'll get into the meat of the video, that is to understand why I'm not a big fan of conventional or traditional dividend investing. For those who are just getting started, uh, you need to understand that you can buy shares in different companies, and whenever you buy shares in different companies, one of the two things can happen. Either the companies can decide to pay a portion of their retained earnings in the form of a payout, which can happen on a monthly or quarterly basis, or they may decide to keep the entire money within the company. So companies that do not pay any dividends basically use all their retained earnings and they keep it within the company. Example is Facebook. Now Facebook, if you see, does not pay any dividends at all, so whatever cash they generate within a year, they keep it within the company, and that cash can be used for multiple purposes. They can use it to buy new companies. They can use it to make expenses like capital expenditures. They can buy new facilities. They can buy a lot of other stuff, or they can outrightly go and buy back their own shares from the market, and thereby increasing the value of the stock price. So, one way or the other, the surplus cash can be utilized, and those companies that decide to pay a portion of these retained earnings as a cash payout to the investors, this cash payout is basically called dividends. So, what do dividend investors actually do? They will identify companies which are paying dividends, and then they will buy shares of these companies. And on an annual basis, a particular amount is paid out by these companies per share. So, let's say a company is paying out $2 per share, and then somebody who owns 10 shares of that company will get paid $20 in that year as dividends. And usually, dividend investors tend to reinvest this money to buy more shares, and the expectation that they have is that if they continue doing this for a fairly long period of time, like 10, 20, 30 years, then by the time they're about to retire, they will have enough shares of that company so that the dividends that are coming from those shares are enough to meet their monthly expenses. So dividend investing involves two steps. One, you buy the companies that pay dividends. Second, when you receive the dividends, you kind of reinvest them to create that rolling ball effect. And this is the basics about dividend investing. Now let's get a bit deeper into dividend investing and understand some basic parameters, which will actually also help us understand the problems with conventional dividend investing. The first thing is the dividend amount. So dividend amount is nothing but the dollar amount that a company decides to pay out per year per share of the company. So let's say I own one share of a company, and the company has decided to have a dividend payout or a dividend amount of $2 per share. Then in that year, I am going to get $2 for every share that I own. If I own 10 shares, then get paid $20. This payout may be happening once a month. Examples are real estate investment trusts, REITs. So any companies in this sector are statutorily required to pay out dividends on a monthly basis, and all these dividends are more commonly paid out on a quarterly basis. Always remember that all companies don't pay dividends, so don't assume that every company is going to have a dividend payout. So you only need to invest in companies. If you're looking to start with dividend investing, you need to invest in companies which actually pay out a dividend. And the dividend amount is nothing but the dollar amount that is going to be paid out per share per year. The next parameter is dividend yield. Now, dividend amount is the actual amount, but it can be slightly misleading because let's say two companies are paying the same dividend amount, $2 per share, but one company has a stock price of $100, whereas the other company's shares are selling at a price of $200. So if you look at these two companies, the returns are not the same because in the first case, for the first company, a $100 investment would get you one share, and in return, you will make $2 of return in a year. That's a 2% dividend yield. Whereas for the second company, you would make $2 with a $200 investment, which is going to be just a $1 dividend yield. So dividend yield is basically a percentage of the dollar or dividend amount that is paid as a percentage of the share price. So when we're comparing actual dollar amounts, it can be slightly misleading because dollar amounts may be more or less, but then if you have to put in a lot more money to actually buy one share, then the percentage wise, the returns are much lesser. So dividend yield actually evens out the playing field. So if you see a yield of 6% for some company, what you can understand is that if I invest $100 into this company, I'll get paid $6 on in for holding shares of that company for 1 year, and that's what dividend yield is about. It's the percentage payout per $100 invested into that company for 1 year. The third thing is payout ratio, which is very, very important to understand if you're getting into dividend investing. Payout ratio is basically, as I mentioned earlier, that a company makes a lot of money through their business operations in a year, and after meeting all their expenses, obligations, whatever money they are left with is called retained earnings. And companies which pay out dividends actually decide to pay out a portion of these retained earnings to the investors in the form of cash payout, and it's called the dividend. So the payout ratio is the percentage of the retained earnings which are being paid to the investors. And we don't want to invest in companies which have a very high payout ratio. For example, let's say a company has a 90-95% payout ratio. What that means is that for every $100 that they earn or are able to retain in the company as a net profits, out of that, only $5 are being retained in the company. $95 is being actually used to service the dividends or to be able to pay out the dividends. So what this means is that the company has very little cash left with themselves to reinvest into the growth of the company or to meet any kind of a financial stress or problem that may get created. So let's say because of the pandemic, the sales of this company they reduce. Now the company is going to make much less cash, and therefore they may not be even able to meet their dividend. Payouts because they're already paying 90%, 95% of their retained earnings to sustain the dividend payout. So we don't want to be investing in companies which have a very, very high percentage of dividend payout because in the long run, these companies can lose a lot of share price. Your basic principal investment can start going down. Uh, so the important thing to understand is it's not necessary that a company which is paying a 6% dividend yield is better than another company which is paying a 2% dividend yield, because if the 6% dividend yield is coming from a 90% payout ratio and the 2% dividend yield is coming only from a 20 or a 30% payout ratio, then for me the 2% dividend yield is a much better investment because that company has the ability to grow. It has the enough cash surplus to expand, to take care of situations when it is in any kind of a financial stress. Whereas the company which is paying a higher dividend of 6%, but the payout ratio is as high as 90-95%, is a company which is sooner or later going to either have to cut its dividends or it will get into real serious trouble because it will not have enough cash in hand to grow, to expand, to meet any kind of emergencies. And we want to stay away from those kind of companies. The last parameter that we want to understand is dividend growth, and dividend growth is basically the annual increment in the dollar amount being paid out by a company in terms of its dividends. One perfect example of this is Target. If you look at Target's dividends over the past few years, then the dividend they paid out in 2020 was more than they paid out in 19, and dividend payout in 2021 was more than the payout in 2020. So if you look at the company's track record, every year there is a certain percentage increase in the dividend payout which the company is making to its shareholders. So this percentage increase is called the dividend growth. Dividend growth is good as long as it is not coming at the expense of the payout ratio. So if a company is increasing its dividend payout, but at the same time the payout ratio is also increasing, that means they're simply transferring more percentage of the retained earnings to the investors, and it's not necessary that the company is doing well. But if the payout ratio remains consistent or even reduces, but the dividend growth is happening, then that means that the company is generating more and more cash every single year, and that in general is a good parameter to see if the company is doing well or not. Moreover, dividend growth becomes important because companies which have a historical track record of increasing the dividend payout year on year continue to do that in the future. So, if you're receiving $2 per share of dividend today, and this company in which you are invested is actually has a track record of dividend growth, then chances are that 10 years down the line or 5 years down the line, you're going to be paid a much higher dividend, maybe $2.5 or $3 or even more, depending on the kind of dividend growth that can take place. So these are some of the important parameters that we looked into, which by now would give you a fair idea as to what all dividend investing is about. And we will do just one more step to get one final idea about what dividend investing is all about by looking at an actual example. So here we are looking at the symbol ABBV, which is AbbVie, which is a pharmaceutical company. And the first parameter that I want to highlight here is the dividend yield here, which is 4.44%. And what this means, as I said earlier, is that if I invest $100 into AbbVie, then I can expect to get about $4.44 in dividends paid out to me in a year. This is a percentage return. So for every $100 that I invest into AbbVie, whatever shares I get, that will basically give me 4.44% or $4.44 in returns in 1 year. The actual dividend payout in a year is $5.20. So this is the actual dollar amount that will be paid out per share of AbbVie. So if somebody is holding on to 10 shares, they will actually get $52 paid out to them in a complete year. Another thing to see from the table below here is the fact that you can see that here the dividends are being paid 4 times in a year. So if you look at 2019, there were 4 payouts. If you look at 2020, there were 4 payouts. In 21, till now, there have been 3 payouts. So what this means is that AbbVie is the company where dividend payout is happening on a quarterly basis. So they are paying out dividends every single quarter. And you can see here that every quarter they are paying $1.30. So in 4 quarters, they will pay $1.30 multiplied by 4, which is $5.20, which is the annual dividend, which is mentioned here. So again, as I said, it is the annual dividend and the dividend yield which really matter, because it doesn't really matter whether dividends are paid out on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. The amounts are divided into 4 parts or 12 parts depending on the payout pattern of that company. But just because a company is paying monthly dividends, do not get confused that it is paying more dividends than another company which is paying quarterly dividends. The dividends actual return will depend on only one parameter, which is the dividend yield, and you should be looking only at the dividend yield, which is basically the percentage return or the dollar return that you would get for every $100 that you invest into the company. And with this out of the way, I think by now all viewers would have a fairly good understanding of what, first of all, dividend investing is all about. How do dividend investors try to make money? And what are the important parameters when we are looking for dividend stocks? And then we also looked at as one of the examples for AbbVie to put all this in perspective. So now let's get on to the meat of the discussion here, which is basically why I am not a big fan of dividend investing in the conventional sense. So there are multiple reasons, but the two most important reasons are what I've highlighted here, and we will just discuss them to understand why dividend investing is not all that lucrative. The first thing is dividend cuts. So people who are looking to get a monthly income or a quarterly income, and if they're relying only on dividends, have to go uh, have to take a lot of risk, because even the best of the best companies can actually reduce the dividend payouts or stop the dividend payouts altogether, depending on the financial condition of the company. One perfect example of this is AT&T, and this happened recently. AT&T has a huge amount of cash flow, and it is a big company. At the same time, it had been paying 7 to 8% dividend yield every single year for a lot of years. And all of a sudden, they had to cut down their dividend yield to half. So now their dividend yield is going to be about somewhere between 3 to 4%. It is expected around 3.5%. So if you are basically setting up your portfolio and relying on your monthly income to pay your monthly expenses based on the dividend, this dividend can go off anytime, because whether a dividend has to be paid out or not at all, and if it is paid out, what percentage or what amount of dividend will be paid out is a decision that the management takes for any company. So there is no statutory guideline. It is not like a certificate of deposit or a fixed deposit where you will get a fixed payment. It is solely on the discretion of the management, which will decide how much dividend to pay out. So if you're relying your monthly bills to be paid on the basis of such a strategy, then it is a lot of trouble, for one simple reason, that if the company is not doing well, if it gets into some kind of a stress and you're only relying on dividends, the management of the company can decide not to pay any dividends at all for a couple of years, or they may cut down the dividends, as has been done in the case of AT&T. And I just gave the example of AT&T to reflect that the best of the best companies, the biggest companies, companies in valuation more than $100 billion, $200 billion, can also go through this process. So it is not wise to assume that just because you're invested in a big company, this is not going to happen. The second main problem with dividend investing in the conventional way when you do it is that the better companies, when you try to choose more stable companies, which are blue chip companies, which have a really good historical track record, the dividend payouts are actually very low. For example, let's look at Microsoft. Microsoft, good company, good product line. They have tons of cash flow. They are very stable. No chances of getting into bankruptcy. But if you look at this company's dividend yield, it's 0.8%. So if I put $1 million into Microsoft, that means let's say I buy Microsoft shares for $1 million, I can expect to earn only $8,000 per year. That's less than $1,000 per month. And then if you see, that is not going to get me anywhere. I cannot pay my monthly expenses based on that money. So although I am putting in a huge investment, which is $1 million, but still the dividend payout is very low. Same thing with Apple, which even has a lesser dividend payout. With Apple, you would just get $6,100 paid to you annually if you were to invest $1 million into Apple. And most of us do not have $1 million lying around. So let's say I want to just make a $3,000 monthly income, then I would need to invest something like a $4 million or a $3 million corpus into these companies. And most of us don't have that kind of money. So this is the main problem when it comes to dividend investing, that the more stable companies that you try to choose, the more stable companies you try to invest in, the dividend yields are so low that it is very difficult to get meaningful returns which can help us with our target of paying our monthly expenses, or generate any kind of a sizable income which can help us with our retaining a lifestyle or even improving it. So as an example, in order to just help you understand this particular problem, I have taken here example of a fictional 3% dividend portfolio, which is going to give us a 3% dividend yield on an annual basis. And for getting just $3,000 monthly income, we would need to invest $1.2 million into this portfolio. And if you look at the list above here, you can very clearly see that getting a 3% dividend portfolio is not easy. For 3% dividend portfolio, you would end up investing in more risky, more volatile stocks. Out of the list here, only AbbVie has a higher return, more than 3%, and AbbVie is a pharmaceutical company. It's no doubt having good products, it has a good product line, it is a good company, it's got a good management. But there is one thing: pharma companies are really volatile in nature, because one FDA approval or one FDA rejection can severely affect the stock price. So this is a more risky investment, and if you try to get into more stable stocks like Microsoft and Apple, then the returns are very low. So even if we consider that we are able to get into a portfolio which can give us a 3% dividend yield, which is not easy to achieve, we would still need $1.2 million to invest to basically receive a $3,000 monthly income. And let's say if your portfolio is only giving you a 2% return, then the amount is even going to be even higher. If your dividend portfolio, you try to go into a very safe dividend portfolio, and that is giving you only a 1.5% dividend yield annually, then you can do the calculation that for $3,000 monthly dividend, you would need a $2.4 million investment. Most of us do not have this kind of money. That is why traditional dividend investors do not look to get these returns anywhere before their retirement. They're targeting their retirement, that hopefully by retirement they would be able to put in so much money from their savings into dividend investing that they will have so many shares of these companies that the dividends yields, which are very low, 1 2% or even less than 1%, would be sufficient enough for them to, in order to give them a sizable amount of income which can support their monthly expenses. So this is the primary reason why I am not a big fan of dividend investing in the conventional sense, because number one, the returns are unreliable. You're depending on the management of the companies, and things can go wrong at any time. These companies may decide to actually cut back the dividends totally, or to reduce the dividends. And the problem is with AT&T, if you look at AT&T's history, the day they declared that they're going to be cutting down the dividends, the AT&T stock price actually fell down. When dividends are not being paid, or less dividends are being paid, that means less cash is going out of the company. So ideally the stock price should have gone up. But this is taken as a very negative sentiment in the market, that a company is not able to sustain its dividends, and therefore the stock price started falling down. So at that position, even if you tried to get out of that stock and invest somewhere else, you would be selling your position probably at a loss. And therefore, because of these reasons, I don't find dividend investing, when done totally conventionally, the way I explained earlier, as a two-step process, that just buy stocks and then hold on to them to collect the dividends and keep reinvesting those dividends for 10, 20, 30 years, and then expect at the end of 30 years your portfolio to be large enough, to be sizable enough, that it can generate meaningful monthly income for you. So what is the way out of this? Well, the way out of this is a modified dividend investing strategy where we do work on dividends, but along with that, we also make use of options to generate additional income. What this does is, because options are generating an additional income, it is going to supplement the income coming from dividends alone. And if dividends are cut or dividends are going down, even then we are still making income from selling options, and that is basically the main way to overcome the drawbacks of traditional dividend investing. The returns is the second main part where we saw that the returns are very, very low. What if I told you that instead of having to invest $1.2 million in order to generate a 3,000 monthly income, you could do that with just $150,000 or a $200,000 or even a $100,000 investment, depending on the kind of companies you want to invest in. 150,000 is a kind of savings that most people can look to generate within a span of 2 to 5 to maybe 8 years, maybe 10 years at max. Even if you are not saving a lot of money, you can get to that figure in much lesser time than what it would take to reach $1.2 million dollars or $2.5 million dollars. So this is reducing your effort by almost 8 times. You need 1/8 the investment. That means instead of getting a yield of just 3% per year, we are going to be looking at a yield somewhere in the range of 20 to 25%, maybe 30%. And that is something which I'm going to cover in detail. I have already given a brief that we are going to be selling options along with dividend investing, but I'm going to have a separate video where we will just discuss the supercharge strategy on dividend investing. And that is going to basically boost your returns. You will have three kinds of returns in my strategy. One will be from selling option premium. Second will be from the growth of the actual stock. So you bought shares of a company at $200. That company over a period of 5, 6, 10 years has grown in value to $300. So you have a 50% return right there. And the third kind of return is going to be the dividend payouts, which are going to happen on a quarterly or a monthly basis. So we want to have a strategy where we leave no stone unturned for generating profits. We don't want to just generate profits from the dividend payouts by investing in companies which have a very high dividend yield but have no scope for growth. We don't want to invest only in companies which have growth like Facebook, which do not pay out any dividends. We also do not want to miss out on the opportunity of selling premiums, option premiums, to generate a substantial additional income so that we can match the returns of the best hedge fund managers in the market. And this stuff is not very difficult to do. It is very, very simple. And I am going to in put all this stuff in a format which is easily digestible, which is easily understandable, and it is going to take away this fear of dividend investing, and it is going to help you achieve your targets not at the age of 60, 65 when you're about to retire, when you've poured in your savings for 20, 30 years in order to generate sizable returns. You will be able to do that within a span of 5 to 7 years. So stay tuned for the next video, and I'll catch up with you in that. And meanwhile, if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them down in the comments below. Thank you for your time. Please share this with your family and friends, and do subscribe to the channel. Like the video. That goes a long way in basically motivating me to put out this content which can help you people out there. And if anything else is there, you can get in touch with me. Please leave your comments down in the comments section. Thank you for your time, and we'll catch up quickly very soon in the next video, where I will discuss the supercharge strategy that I believe removes all the drawbacks of conventional dividend investing and can generate tremendous returns. Thanks for your time, and hope to see you soon.